The clock is ticking as we continue our adventure. With only 19 days left before the spring equinox, the Ring of Peace travel from the Gentle Grove to the Tomb of the Forgotten Warriors. They don't know it yet, but the minions of their enemy already reached the ruins of 1011, the ancient burial site of the Tabaxi people. The undead from there are attacking Falador. Once inside, the group explores the area, finding displays of ancient armor. Along the corridors, there are doors that have armored handprints near them. Eatmos figures out that they need to match up the right armor gauntlet with each door to unlock them. But just then, a portal opens up in front of him. He and Mudgraw see a small figure in iridescent armor designed much like Eatmos's. She's a fairy inside the Feywild, who tells Eatmos that he's needed home. When he tries to argue, she tells him it's an order and pulls him through the portal just as it closes. The remaining group split up, with Flair and Damon keeping lookout while Mudgraw and Malice open the first door with the gauntlet key. Inside, they find many graves. Mudgraw starts his ritual to protect the room from any necromancy spells. But at the same time, Malice receives a magical message from someone in New Tethamar. He tells Malice that undead are attacking the city. Meanwhile, Damon and Flair are guarding the passages. They hear scratching coming from a locked door. A spectral form of an ancient tabaxi floats out of the room, having just raised the dead bodies inside. They talk to him, and he tells them that he's the current general of the Master, who's also called the Harvester. Damon moves to block him from going further down the hallway, but instead he calmly floats into the next locked door instead. And within moments, sounds of scratching from new undead can be heard from inside. The spirit exits the other side of the locked room, where it meets Malice. Tabaxi spirit floats up out of the entrance to the tombs, with Malice and Flair in pursuit, but they lose him. Mudgraw, having just completed his ritual, grabs other keys to unlock and then cleanse 2 more rooms. But the group decides not to open the remaining locked doors, because they already have undead in them. Feeling only a partial victory at the tombs, they decide to split up. Malice and Mudgraw race to help the people of New Tethamar. Damon goes to his home in Lunar Falls Fortress, and Flair heads to the palace to search for more information. Malice and Mudgraw are able to help the people of New Tethamar fend off the attack with some casualties. They then head to Lunar Falls Fortress to meet Damon. The Lord Commander of the military gets a message saying that Keelar Dearies, former spy master locked away in the fortress, would like to meet with him. After dinner with his guests, he goes down to the cells to meet with him. Keelar confirms that Damon's father kept him in the fortress to look out for him, and then warns him of a plot to depose him by Commander Dawnsinger. He hands him proof and tells him not to let Mudgraw know if they're to keep working together. Mudgraw puts his chef skills to use by helping the kitchens, while Malice takes the night to commune with the goddess Elistrai in the moonlight of the Lunar Falls. In the morning, the group travel north to the palace to meet with Flair and the king. At midday, moments from a meeting of the Ring of Peace, Mudgraw is meditating in a garden when he senses a plea of help from nature itself all around Falador. He's attacked by undead creatures as part of a large coordinated attack. Swarms of creatures flood into each community. There's much death, and some scenarios seem helpless and hopeless. But for some reason, the undead are unmade in an instant. Meanwhile, in the Feywild, we learn Eatmos has been traveling with his old friend, the fairy named Heart, for 8 days. They've battled dark Fey everywhere they go, due to a curse that is turning Fey creatures into alternate versions of themselves. But at the same moment that all undead in the material plane collapse, all the dark Fey collapse as well and turn into ash. The pair discover an archfey named Sivos is behind the curse. Bruised and tired, they take this knowledge to Queen Titania, the regal presence of the Summer Sealy court. With a somewhat heated discussion about being away too long, Eatmos shifts his appearance out of his winter form and into summer, something he hasn't done for years. Titania praises him for the passion he shows in his work, but tells him to remember who he is and the purpose of his projects are for the betterment of both the material plane and the Feywild. The Queen uses one of her wands to allow them all to scry on a meeting at the Ring of Peace. As they compare notes, Titania explains the Undead and Dark Fae are definitely connected. They hear King Rain recount when 100 years ago, his Order of Valor team saved a purple orb containing the spirit of a powerful lich from falling into the wrong hands. They locked it away in a part of the Feywild called the Vault of Oblivion, but the key was lost. He also mentions a trip into the Shadowfell to find a magical artifact. He and his friend Steam traveled to the city of Gloomrot, but were thwarted in their attempt to even glimpse the item by a cult calling themselves the Followers of the Harvest. At the mention of their name, Queen Titania remembers the Lich Sozu, whose second in command was a wizard who helped develop a way to collect necrotic energy to be used as some sort of battery. He called it harvesting. Once he and Sozu were defeated, the Owls of Volaria kept the Harvester's remains in a secret location, but they knew he was aware of how to open up the purple orb that held Sozu. If the key, the orb, and the Harvester are all in play, then the Lich King named Sozu the Vengeful is not far behind. Opening a portal back to the material plane, Queen Titania orders Eatmos and Hart to gather the Ring of Peace to enter the Feywild and confront the Archfey Sivos. He must have the answers they seek. The group is now all together in the palace. Malice takes some convincing, but the group decides to enter the Feywild the following morning. They appoint seconds in command to continue with their work while they're gone. They go their separate ways for the night, with Damon first pulling Mudgraw aside. He tells him that he believes the person he just appointed to take his place while he's gone, Commander Dawnsinger, is conspiring against him. He tells Mudgraw about meeting with Keelar, but he can't seem to find the physical proof that he was given. Meanwhile, Eatmos and Malice travel to the Falador city. They have a discussion and are able to at least alleviate some of the tension between them. Eatmos takes Malice to his Smith's Guild, where he shows off the secret project that he's been working on, a machine called the Arcane Furnace. This furnace can disenchant magical items, and he, the king, and other world leaders are all worried about another fracturing accidentally happening due to too many magical items in the world. Malice is impressed, but also worries about safely storing so many items at once in Falador City for disenchanting. He leaves for his home to spend the night with his family. For tomorrow, they start their wild adventure in the Feywild.